Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm very pleased to have with me Kym Insana. And let me tell you about Kym. She is a seven-figure business owner, digital marketing expert, and founder of AlwaysOn Digital, a woman-owned agency helping brands like Good American, Enfamil, Johnston Murphy scale through impactful campaigns. With over 20 years of experience, Kym left her demanding New York City advertising career to build a company that offers flexibility and balance, values she champions as a wife and mother of four. AlwaysOn Digital thrives by empowering talented working parents, blending career success with family life. A sought-after speaker, Kym has shared her journey and expertise on national stages, including The Big in San Francisco and iMedia Brand Summit. We're going to talk about a subject that I know all of us sometimes skirt around saying, I don't understand this at all, but digital marketing is what we're going to talk about today. So please get your pens and papers ready to take some notes and join me in welcoming my guest, Kym Insana.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicki.
You're very welcome. So we always start out with two easy questions, Kym. The first being, just tell everybody, what part of the country do you live in? Where do you call home?
So I am from New York. I was born and raised in Queens, but I moved to Long Island after having my first son. So I'm in a little town called Manhasset Hills.
Oh, very cool. My sister lived in Long Island just for a short time, and then Bridgeport, and then she moved to South Carolina. She says, I'm done with the cold.
Yeah, Long Island's basically a big dead end. So once you start going, then you just have to turn around at one point, and there's lots of traffic. But it's nice. It's a good place to call home.
You got the beach, so that's all right. That's always makes life better.
For sure.
So I talked about, where you are today and all the fabulous things that have happened with you, but I really like for you to share your journey for the audience. It's never a straight line. And so talk about the different paths that led you to do what you do today and why you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't really get the AlwaysOn Digital idea and our mission on my own. So I actually went to high school in the city, and one of my after school jobs was working at Interrupt Radio. And when I was there, they had a thing called a job share. It was for working mothers that wanted a balance. So they each worked about 3 days a week. This is prior to laptops and phones and everything. And usually the sellers that were on job share outperformed everyone else. They were more cost efficient, and just the way they did business, it worked. Kind of at the end of the day, moms get things done. Right. So they watch each other's kids. They were both in on Wednesdays, and it worked. And so I always thought that was really cool. I didn't have for a need, for that in my life at 16, but it always kind of stuck with me how a company was able to make that work. And so I had started on radio throughout college. I stayed there from 16 on. And then my boss was going to start ValueClick, which was a digital network at the time. So they were, a network of publishers. We were selling cost per click advertising. went through a bunch of rounds of acquisitions and went to a couple different companies. And as I started to have more kids, I realized how hard it was to, kind of be a mom and commute and all of that and be there. So the mom I was for my oldest is a different mom than I am for my youngest. And I think we have this horrible guilt that we put on ourselves of, was I good enough? Was I there for you enough? Did I attend enough things for you? And that all kind of drove me to look around the workplace. It's hard, as you grow up in your career and you become more established, there aren't as many women, at least, especially, 15 years ago, there weren't as many women in these positions. So it's hard to say, I have to go home and give my kid a bath and be there, do homework, when, the guys are, okay, I'll do the happy hour, I'll do this. And I'll travel for a week to Palm Springs, so far and so hard to get to, logistically for meetings. And so I started to also notice that women who had their first or second child were looking for a little bit of work-life balance as well. And not everybody was afforded that. As I grew up, kind of moved up in my career, I was given a couple of days to work from home and things like that, but not everybody was. And so those women just left. And some of them were our best workers. They were the best, they were the most committed, and they got it and they got stuff done. And maybe they did it at night when they got home, but they always made sure the job was done. And I just felt like there was a lost understanding that it was going to happen. Don't worry about it. Give them trust. And so I had gone to my boss after I had my third son, and I said, look, I've seen this job share thing work. I see all these people leaving that are not the right fit. Maybe you help me start a company because you're not going to adopt that here. And they said, okay. The okay ended up being me being laid off. So I was part of a big layoff, which ended up being fine because I had some severance. And then they helped me get started, which was great. And so I went and hired the people that they were okay with not being there, basically.
Yeah, really.
And, which is a shame to say because they're phenomenal. And still with me today. And I've been over, the past couple of years, been able to hire back some people that I've worked with that didn't come with me, but are in those positions now where they had their second child. And everyone kind of jokes that I prey on the people that have had their second child and don't really want to go back to the office. But honestly, that's our target market. So, we try to provide an environment and a home for them.
Yeah. And really, since the pandemic too, I think it's even some of the people that have that first child or pregnant with that first child are thinking and evaluating, if I have to come back to the office every day now, is
Yes.
this the life that I want to have? And so, I could see them as being ideal too.
Absolutely. And I have mixed opinions about, returning to office. We actually ended up opening an office 2 years ago, but out in Long Island, because after 8 years, folks are saying, okay, it'd be nice to get together more or nice to see you once a week. So we did open an office, very, small little space that we could use when we wanted to. And it's good because you have a balance now of
Exactly.
being able to do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember and I worked for a large company, and whenever we first introduced in early 2000s, you could work from home 2 days a week, and you couldn't you couldn't be off on a Friday or a Monday. It's like, are you ridiculous or what?
Yes.
But, it's more challenging to be a leader or a manager of remote workers, but it's so worth it. As you said, the loyalty and the dedication you get from those people when you put them first, I think is just, you can't put a price on that.
Absolutely. And where I've evolved with my children, I experienced challenges that I didn't necessarily have with my first. I have a son that has really bad anxiety, and sometimes going to school in the morning is a struggle for him. So, there's days that it's a challenge. And I think like if I had to be at an office at 8:30 in the morning in Manhattan, that's a 2-hour commute. What would that
Mm,
do to his life? Like just making these small changes, he can have an easier morning. Like why not?
hmm.
So I
Yeah.
see it now, especially other parents have been in those situations that I wasn't at the time. And I can really appreciate, the world allowing for more work from home and more flexible environments, knowing some people's situations.
Yeah. My husband was a school teacher and he never went to one event at the school during the school day because he couldn't. He
Yeah.
was in that classroom the whole time. But so that made it more important for me to be able to go. And luckily, I always had managers that would permit that and understood that. So those out there that are managers of people, remember that.
Yes, for
All
sure.
right. So, as a mother of four, a business owner, how do you approach this work-life balance? You talked about some of the strategies. What other strategies do you have?
Yeah. And so I like to say it's not really work life balanced,
Because it's a lie.
it's a lie. There's
Yes.
going to be times where you're doing great with work and or times where, you're with the kids and you're killing it there.
Yeah.
I still find myself in a supermarket at 10 o'clock at night buying cupcakes for the next day. It happens. I try to be a class parent. It hit me hard this year because I have my last one in elementary. And so after elementary, you don't know what's happening in school. Like it's hard
Yeah.
to be involved. And so I really try to do as much as possible. I probably killed myself in December this year between the last week of school and trying to be there. And it's also the busiest time of year for us at work. Um,
Yeah.
so, I ended up getting really sick. So I wouldn't not necessarily recommend.
Mm-mm.
But it's a matter of finding that time and saying, okay, I'm going to commit, these hours of the day to my kids. So they come home, no phone, no laptop for X amount of time. Whether it be, just sit down and help them do their homework or take them to their sport. And I don't mind driving kids anywhere because I always find that's when they talk to me. They tell me everything that's happening when they're in the car with
Hmm.
me. So,
Yeah.
with four of them, it's hard to get individual time. So I'll always try to do like, oh, you have basketball practice. I'll come get you real quick. And sometimes I do a conference call on the way. Sometimes I do a conference call with a kid in the car. And a lot of my clients know, like, oh, I'm driving. They're old enough. If you say a bad word, it's okay. But I'm driving right now, with a kid, and I try to do it that way. And then
Hmm.
after they go to bed, I usually hop back on, take care of whatever else needs to happen, based on our company name, which may not be something I would recommend to others, but Always on Digital means we also work weekends.
Hmm.
So we take care of some things on the weekend, not your typical workday, but handling campaign things, check-ins. So I do respond to emails on the weekends and all of that, and it's just really about carving out time. Um,
Right.
where you can. My son
Hmm.
goes to karate a couple times a week. So that hour of karate, I bring my iPad and I just try to bang out as much work as I can. And then this way, when I'm done, I'm all focused on him.
Yeah. So let's talk about digital. How can you help your clients choose the right digital platform for their products and their audience? And what are some of those key factors that matter the most whenever you're making those decisions?
So target audience really matters the most. Sometimes who we want to sell to isn't always who we should sell to, though. So you have to be willing to listen to your audience and who's buying, who are your customers, and if they are, on Facebook. So, we have some clients that the demographic's a little older, and I hate saying this because I'm the one in the demographic that's on Facebook, but Facebook is a better target for you than TikTok,
Hmm.
or it could be Twitter or X, or LinkedIn. It really depends on what you're trying to sell and who you're trying to reach. And sometimes we want to be on the new exciting thing, and that's great. And I'm not saying we shouldn't try things, but if you're trying to sell something and not just brand yourself or branch out, you really want to be where your customers are. And the
Hmm.
easiest way to do it is, like shooting fish in a barrel. go where they are, go
Yeah.
where you'll find the most of them, and then just, focus on there as much as possible.
So, what distinguishes brands that really thrive in the digital market from those that just always are struggling?
Yeah. So some of the things, we haven't had all perfect clients. We've worked with ones that understand and ones that don't.
Right.
Most important thing is like having patience. You do need budget to, and sometimes you need a significant budget depending on what your goals are. But if you're spending about, 8% of your gross revenue on marketing, you just have to make sure you have the patience and the agility essentially
Mm,
to market. So, for instance, if you're not getting enough site traffic, you're not going to have enough buyers. So then let's focus on gaining traffic to your site and then perfecting who that audience is and working through that. Brands that just say, well, I want to remarket, or I just, I know remarketing is great and people will buy. That's great. But if you only have a very small pool, you're not going to sell more year over year. You're just focusing on the same people. So
yeah.
having the ability to listen and have patience and be agile in your marketing strategies is key. One thing we see a lot of are advertisers that are multi-channel retailers. So let's say they're selling a product on their website and they're selling on Amazon.
Mm,
Consumers like to price check. I'm guilty.
yeah.
So if it's an unknown site to me and you're selling something and you're charging me shipping and I don't know what the returns are, and you're selling the same thing on Amazon within a reasonable price range, I'm probably going to buy it on Amazon. And
Hmm.
so that's okay because you're still selling something overall. But when you're doing your marketing strategy, you can't say, oh, it doesn't work, driving users to my site because I'm not increasing my site sales. But did you increase your Amazon sales? Have you gotten more customers overall? You're competing with yourself essentially. So something
Yeah.
is going to give there, but you have to look at the grand picture, and see, in the bigger picture, am I selling more year over year? Have I sold more month over month? And then if I eliminated this, and you can test it, turn it off, do my sales go down?
Yeah. And and I guess you look at the return on your investment, how much is it costing you to have it on your website? And if that's minuscule, if you will, then I guess it can't hurt. I always like to have two doors to get to me.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And we look at the return on ad spend for clients and see based on what they're spending, are they still, positive? And sometimes if you do more sophisticated targeting and tagging and things like that, you can see the overall picture and you can absolutely see the direct impact. But as companies are newer, sometimes they don't have the budget to spend on all of the nice, fun features.
Right. So let's talk about those benchmarks to really measure, is the marketing that you have working? And when do you need to tweak it? So what are some metrics or measurements that we should use?
Absolutely, return on ad spend. You should know your cost per acquisition for your customers, whether it be a returning customer or a new customer, and they should be calculated differently because it's much harder to get a new customer than a returning customer. So we take a look at those costs. The site traffic is really important. Understanding how many people are coming to your site, and then what's your bounce rate? Are they leaving? Are they coming? And that's could be the price check with Amazon or whatnot. So what is happening in terms of them coming to the site and what are they doing? When you have social media, it's also important to look at, are people liking and commenting and
Mm,
sharing, uh, as well as paying attention to what the comments are. We've worked with a number of brands that you would not think are controversial. One was a brand that was like a meatless meat, basically. So, plant-based food. And their ad was like, we know you like chicken, but so we made this chicken for you with no meat. And people got so angry and were writing all these comments and like, you got to tweak the ad, because the feedback from the audience is not great. And
Mm-hmm.
it's important to really like use that also as a metric because
Right.
people are telling you, especially on social media, they will tell you how they feel, and how they
Mm-hmm.
feel is important to know what you should be doing differently.
So if they get one bad comment, should they react to it, or do you wait till you have a little bit more?
We wait till we have a little more, but I think comments should be addressed.
Mm,
And it's important to know your brand personality. So are you going to make a joke back? Are you going to, encourage them to try something, give them information, or say you thank you for your comment? Like it's
mm-hmm.
who you are as a brand matters in how you comment and
Mm,
respond to things. Wendy's does a great job of being cheeky and giving some responses. But if you're a more serious brand, maybe, you provide something on the educational side or offer some type of support.
mm. Good advice. So, what would you say to those entrepreneurs, solopreneurs out there that feel overwhelmed by all of the shiny objects out there that are associated with digital marketing today?
So the first thing I would say, which is not something that we even push normally for ourselves, so we always say, we'll, give you a free evaluation or something like that, is make sure that your SEO is set up properly, so people can find you via search. Search is really important. That's your active, active audience. So they're
Mm,
actively looking for your product or service. So make sure your search house is set up. You can spend a little bit on search on your own. It's fairly easy to use. There's lots of platforms that you can take on yourself initially, before you have to go further than that. Facebook is another opportunity where you can go on Facebook, low cost entry. There's some great targeting options, and you can reach your audience there. Once you feel that you are kind of outside your realm and beyond the basics, and you have the budget to do other things, then I would suggest talking to some type of expert, or where's the best place for my ads, because maybe I do want to be on Facebook, but I'm really targeting business admins. Probably worth
mm.
spending the extra money and going to LinkedIn,
Right.
and being in the right place. So maybe you can't get as many folks initially, but just get the right ones. So
Mm,
as you are, try to get the resources where you can. There's a lot of free resources out there. There's really some inexpensive ones. I find myself being one of the worst salespeople in the world, because I will tell you, oh, you should go to Upwork and see if you can find somebody, or do this just as a stepping stone until you're ready to get to the next level.
mm,
Because I don't want to see anybody. I've seen so many companies overcharge small businesses, and it's hard when you're starting out. You're doing a lot of different things and struggling with it. So when you can offload your marketing a little bit, definitely do
yeah.
it once you can.
Awesome. So, what are the strategies you recommend who they really want to grow their small business quickly and drive sales? And I'm assuming they have the resources to be able to do this.
So if you have the resources, I would suggest trying multiple channels at one time.
Mm,
So, obviously search, that's an easy one. If you can get onto social media, whatever the channel is correct for you, definitely get on social media.
mhm,
We also suggest a lot of times traditional advertising. So if you're in maybe you're a franchise, or, some type of quick serve restaurant or something like that, do you have billboards?
mm.
Are there newspaper ads or things like that? Trying to have something where you can make your money feel like you're everywhere sometimes,
Right.
and trying to do that. And that's the most important thing. You want consumers to feel like, oh, I see this brand everywhere. I'm remembering them. And so what are the most efficient ways to do that? So that's, one thing. Then do the free stuff. Get somebody, you can get an intern on staff, or get somebody, that is looking to learn. Maybe there's, a hybrid way you could do, if you're short on funds. But if you have a store, you should be showing some type of reel, or, here are the customers, and show how busy your store is. We work with local church store, and they are trying to really expand their online presence. And so one of the things, they do is they do installations in the church of these statues.
Mm.
But these statues are made and they're brought over from Italy. And I said, have video of, your dad procuring this in Italy. Like, that's cool. That's something different for people to see. And, as these are being installed, you can show the process, and whether it be a TikTok or an Instagram
Right.
or, whatever it is, people like seeing that stuff. And that's also how they fall in love with your brand.
Mm.
Aside from, you just kind of putting their face, have them become invested in the
Yeah.
process.
Great advice. What about things like local radio or streaming services?
Absolutely. So local radio is how I started. And so love radio, especially now that people are commuting more, they're back in their cars. Like, this is a
Hmm.
good opportunity. There's so many streaming services. Maybe cable is going to come back one day. Who knows? Because now they're they're so
Not to.
disjointed. Uh,
Yeah.
but so take up opportunity with those. Connect to TV really allows you to be in places that you wouldn't have been able to touch before. We had an advertiser that was able to run CTV for the Thanksgiving Day Parade 2 years ago. Um, Normally, you wouldn't be able to buy that inventory, so it's accessible now. So even
Yeah.
if it's a little bit, you can get yourself there. And so that's exciting about all these different platforms and now how they're set up, because you can get things programmatically, which is just really the way to buy it, where you couldn't normally before.
Yeah, I know my podcast, I have YouTube on my streaming service, and it's wild. Every so often, I'm looking for something to watch, and I'm on YouTube, and there I am. It's like, oh, how cool is that?
No, that's great.
So, what are the key differences in managing, again, these remote people and teams? Um, if we can kind of go back to that, because I think when we're talking about um, affording things, as you were saying,
Mhm.
some of the virtual assistants are from other countries,
Yes.
and plus, just there are different services locally here that you can get, and the people are not going to be in your city, and you still have to help them to understand you and your brand and your mission and all that. So, talk about that and some challenges and opportunities.
So there are definitely challenges. I think video calls have really helped tremendously,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
because when we started years ago, we weren't really using video the same, and it wasn't until COVID that it happened, and we never let that go.
Hmm.
For us, our little knock on the cubicle is really just sending a video chat through. We use GChat, so all of a
Hmm.
sudden you'll get like a video call pop up, and then you answer the call, and it's just like that little, hey, do you have a second? So that's been helpful because it makes everybody feel more connected. Um, when you have a new staff, any type of new staff, obviously there's a learning curve there. We have a weekly team meeting that we do
Hmm.
with everyone, kind of like a all hands every week. So it's always good to have that. But I think it's important to spend some time getting to know people personally, because that helps with, them feeling comfortable enough to come to you. But you have to have trust in everyone that you
Hmm.
hire, and it's not
Yeah.
always going to work. It has not been perfect for us. We've certainly had some ups and downs with that. But I really feel like as much as you can make a face-to-face happen as possible, that helps. But it is your job to trust them. And if they're doing
Hmm.
their job and you've given them the opportunity for flexibility, you have to let them do their job. When they're not doing their job, that's a different story. But as long as they're doing their job, you have to have that trust. And I think people appreciate that trust. And when I manage in person, it's the same as now, where not everybody is motivated by the same things. And it's really important to understand that, especially having four kids that are wildly different. They're not motivated by the same things at home. What I can offer or take away is not gonna work for everyone.
Yes.
And it's the same for work. So, understand what's important to them. And like you said, you had a husband that was a teacher and could not be there for certain things. I know you have to know what's important to your team.
Yeah. So time is flying by. I think I can add one last question. What's next for you?
Oh, I don't know. At first I had thought maybe one day I would sell and, just retire. And what I always want to do is just rock babies in, the nursery and volunteer in the hospital. And that was it. Um, but my oldest
Mhm.
is in college and recently started saying, "Oh, well, maybe I'll come work for you one day." And so I had never thought really like this could be a family-owned
Legacy.
business and yeah, and passed down. So we'll have to see, how that goes. But I'd like to continue growing the company. Um, I want to grow it purposefully and at the pace that works for us. I like traveling with my family. I don't necessarily love it for business, so I don't want to be all over the place where, I will do it where if I can't service the clients properly, we won't do it. Because we can't, we're not going to do 50%. It's going to be
Right.
all 100% or not. But we're going to continue to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I retired in 2018 and that lasted 2 years.
Yeah,
And just I think it keeps you young doing different things. And when you have the choice of doing what you love or what you find fun, as opposed to a grind, I think that makes it even better.
absolutely. And it's funny because sometimes I get the most excited about the clients that have the least. Yeah, because I see it from from the bottom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like the church client, it's like, oh, we could do so much here. And let's try this idea and this. And it's so exciting. And if somebody looked at the business, they're like, you should not be spending your time on this. But that's what is exciting about it,
Hmm.
watching something blossom.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if any of you out there think, well, I need to really get to know more about what Kym has and maybe connect to see, well, we can cooperate together, collaborate. So I'm going to share my slide as always. You can go ahead and take the information down if you're just listening, but if you're watching, you can definitely get a screenshot. All this information will be on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So if you haven't done so, please do subscribe. Then you'll come across my TV. And the second thing is I have Find Your Leadership Confidence website where all of it will be in the show notes. So the website is getalwayson.com. Again, that's getalwayson.com. On Facebook, initial cap Get Always On. Instagram is Always On Digital, as is LinkedIn, Always On Digital. And X is Get Always On. I'm going to turn it over to Kym. She's going to talk to you about what she has out there on her website that might help you, links, resources, as well as what she puts out on social media, how often she's out there. So if you wanted to DM her, what kind of expectation of return you get for a response, and anything else that she can tell you that might be beneficial to you to hear. So, Kym, it's all yours.
Thank you. So if you come to our website, we have where you can see our team. You can read a little bit more about our story, as well as there's a demo for our dashboard on the website as well. So you can see, how everything works and comes together and what we offer our clients. And then from a social media standpoint, we are active on Instagram and I'm extremely active on LinkedIn. So I'll have 3 to 5 posts a week that are there. And if you DM me, we'll be sure to get back to you right away and help you out with anything you're looking for.
Fantastic. Kym, it's been so wonderful chatting with you. I learned a lot and many things I can say yes as she's talking to you truthfully. So please do reach out to Kym so that she can help you grow your business or maybe just get it started. As always, Kym, thank you so much for being such a great guest.
Thank you so much, Vicki. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Awesome. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.